You can't take a ton from it, obviously, because it's
Right.
just one practice. We only get bits and pieces, through pictures and through like what was a 3 or 4 minute video that the team released.
Mhm.
But one picture that caught my eye right away was that of Terrence Ferguson
Mhm.
taking first team reps, right there by Seth McLaughlin at left guard. And obviously it's just one picture, but from everything that we've gathered from people we know, uh, it looks like Terrence Ferguson and Darrian Dalcourt are going to be splitting reps with first team left guard. I think that's huge. I'll be honest with you. I think we're the only show that really talked about that this summer, the possibility of Terrence Ferguson, winning that starting left guard role there. All the talk this summer has been about Kadyn Proctor, and rightfully so. But we were about the only show who was adamant that TJ Ferguson is not a guy to forget about when it comes to, maybe possibly earning a starting spot along that offensive line. Just what's your thoughts on that right now, just a couple days into fall camp?
Yeah, I sent you a text, I believe, yesterday, and I asked you about it, and you pretty much confirmed, because when I first saw that picture, I mean, it was a zoomed in up picture, pretty much showing Seth, and I was like, okay, well, we know Seth's there. And then I got to look, and I was like, that's not Dalcourt beside him, and I was trying to, I was like, okay, you could see the 9, but you barely could see the 6. I was like, okay, so I went to the main roster online. I was like, okay, there's a 9. I said that almost does look like a 6. So I was like, that is Terrence Ferguson. So I was like, okay, I'm interested in this because, like we have said all summer, if and we're not making light of the situation. It's just facts that the left side of that offensive line is the weakest in the link right now. So that is Dalcourt and that is Eljah Pritchett. Now it looks like Pritchett, he may have he's going to be the left tackle. Looks like Kadyn Proctor may make a run later in fall camp, but right now we're going to stick with he's going to be the left tackle game 1. But that left guard position looks like it's up for grabs, and Dalcourt's got serious competition because, like you said, Stacey, Terrence Ferguson, he's been down there a couple years, and he's a really solid player. Some of the limited time that he has seen in action, and I feel like he would be an upgrade over Dalcourt. And I'll say that in the most respectful way. We talked about we really like Dalcourt, the way he has handled himself at Alabama and just being a true leader and cog and on that offensive line for several years. But an upgrade, anybody honestly been an upgrade over him, just to be blunt about it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we've talked about Terrence Ferguson all summer long. He come in as a part of the 2021 class, a highly rated 4-star recruit from the state of Georgia, and at that point in time, that's before Coach Wolford arrived in Tuscaloosa. We were recruiting a little bit different style of offensive lineman, and he was really a part of that style. As far as he was only around 290 pounds when he arrived on campus. He's up to 318, almost 320 now, so he's put on nearly 30 pounds in 2.5 seasons in Tuscaloosa. But even though he was a little on the slight side when he arrived on campus, he was a very physical player and kind of that nasty type player that me and you talk about a lot on this show, Jake. So he really fits the mold of what Eric Wolford wants to do on the offensive line. So I think what TJ is doing is either he's going to win the job or he's going to push Dalcourt to be better. And if that, and whatever happens, happens. And it could be a scenario where it's a lot like last season where we saw 3 guys playing the 2 guard spots. We had Javion Cohen and Emil Ekiyor, and then we brought in Tyler Booker. So it could be a scenario where Terrence Ferguson is that 3rd guard, and we just kind of play musical guards there on the Alabama offensive line. And you brought up Kadyn Proctor and the fact that, right now it's still Eljah Pritchett. It's still so early on, Jake, in the process here in fall camp. Right. I'm not going to rule him out, but I'm also not going to count out Eljah Pritchett as being capable of taking that next step and becoming an elite offensive tackle for Alabama. So like Tristan said there in the comments, I want the 5 best players plus some added depth on that offensive line. I think that's what we're going to get this fall. I really believe in what Coach Wolford is doing, and I really trust the process that he and Coach Saban are going through to put the 5 best players out there. Whether you have to kind of rotate guys in or out to get the 5 best guys out there, I'm with it because I trust what they're doing with the offensive line in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, Stacey. And one thing that you have seen, no matter who the offensive line coach is, but it's really been a Saban style down there, is you have 5 or 6 offensive linemen that can step up and play because use packages, especially goal line packages that have an extra tackle or an extra guard in. We've seen, Randolph has been that guy the last couple of seasons. So you need somebody, you need 5 or 6, 7 guys, not only for injury purposes, but for a goal line package that has a 6, offensive guard or tackle in the game.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. There's so many options that the Alabama has right now, and although you look at what Alabama has on the right side, Jake,
Oh man.
man, I mean, I don't know if there's a better right side in college football between Tyler Booker and J.C. Latham. I mean, that is, you talk about a dynamic duo. And then you add what Seth McLaughlin is there at center, Jake, a guy who's maybe not the most talented guy, maybe not the most athletically gifted, but a lot like what Alabama has always been at center when they have good offensive line is the dude just gets the job done. I mean, he does all the little things right. He gets everybody the right calls. He gets everybody blocking the right guy, and he just does his job. So from Seth over to J.C. Latham on the right side, that is that is as elite as it gets in college football. So excited to see what they do over there. They're going to be running behind that right side early and often when the season rolls around.
Yeah, Booker and Latham both are big maulers. So, if they clear a path for whoever the running back's going to be, Jace, Richard Young, Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, Wardell Williams. I mean, you got so many running backs that can run the ball great, but it all starts at the offensive line. They've got to create holes. And that right side, man, they are going to create holes this year because JC and Tyler both have been adamant this all season about getting back to that more physical style in the trenches. And if there's anybody who's going to do that, it's going to be those 2 guys, and it's just going to carry over to the other players on the offensive line. So, those 2 got to be the leaders on the offensive line. If somebody's not doing their job, they need to call them out. The leadership is what we've kind of been lacking, and an outspoken leader. Had a lot of unspoken leaders, I would call it, just sit back and quiet and lead on the field. But you got to have somebody getting in the ears of players, and we hadn't had that in the last couple of years. You got to hold people accountable, and I feel like this team and this offensive line, they're all going to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, I like this group, and if even though there's still competition at certain spots, I think it can still be a strength of the team this year. Because like you mentioned, when you talk about Tyler Booker and J.C. Latham, those are 2 guys who they fit they are the model of nasty when it comes to the way they play, the way they just continue to. They play up to the echo of the whistle. They don't play after the whistle, but they're in your face until that whistle blows, and they don't let up. I mean, it's all gas. So if they can show that type of leadership through example, and then like you mentioned, also have some vocal leadership as well, this offensive line could be really good and really kind of be the kind of be a good synopsis of what this team is, and kind of lead that team to what they can do. And it's going to start with those guys up front. It all starts up front, both offensively and defensively. So we need that unit on the offensive line to be solid if Alabama wants to accomplish the things they want to accomplish here in 2023.